because we are seeing the results, Mr. Speaker, this year it is budgeted that we will put from the Heart Trust NTA $800 million in the National Service Corps program, and from the World Bank a further $390 million in the National Service Program, which means, Mr. Speaker, this year through that program we're going to be spending $1.2 billion on the young people of this country. A lot has been spoken of the National Unattached Youth Program. I won't go into everything, Mr. Speaker. Suffice to say to our members of Parliament, the Prime Minister has already said that this year 100 young persons per constituency will be attached. One of the things that you will see this year also, members, let me tell you from now, one of the things that you will see this year is that the Heart Trust, listen carefully, the Heart Trust, in keeping with our drive for jobs, our drive for alignment with the growth agenda, the Heart Trust will be appropriately placed in the Ministry of Economic Growth and Job Creation. Mr. Speaker, our Minister of Education will deal with most of the education matters in the State of the Nation debate. So I will just quickly delve into a couple of issues. We continue with our education reform and our national standards curriculum. Mr. Speaker, we continue to maintain our policy that no child should be turned away from school because they are unable to pay. And we are going further to expand our rural school bus program. With the support of our National Secondary Students' Council, we are finalizing our dress and grooming policy. And we have started to review our policies in relation to suspension and expulsion. In fact, Mr. Speaker, the Ministry is far advanced in developing a policy to treat with maladapted students that focuses on a period of intense behavioral modification instead of the typical suspension or expulsion. We are also moving to ensure that our protocols regarding expulsion will be dealt with, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, you will see in the written text what we're doing for our children with special needs and our support for our deaf community. But I'd just like to say that we are partnering with the Jamaica Association for the Deaf. No, deaf. They want to be known as deaf. And they are proud of that, Mr. Speaker. And we are working on a curriculum for Jamaican Sign Language so that we can teach Jamaican Sign Language across our schools, Mr. Speaker. We believe that if we do it right, the deaf can. In closing, Mr. Speaker, I know the leader of opposition had spoke about what he called the apartheid in our education system. Mr. Speaker, while we fix the education system, we recognize that we cannot allow young people to transition out of the system until they have the basic requirements. That is why the Prime Minister, when he was Minister of Education, introduced the CAP program, Mr. Speaker. And when we came, we found the CAP program, Mr. Speaker, with a registration of only 5,000 young people. Now, Mr. Speaker, we have moved up the CAP program to 10,000 youths, Mr. Speaker, so that they don't transition out of our system without a skill. As I go into my conclusion, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Mr. Minister.
I have spent a lot of time. I'm wrapping up, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I have spent a lot of time thinking about what is the Jamaican dream. What do we tell our children when we encourage them to envision the future? What part do we as government make with those we serve in relation to the role and the fulfillment of the dream? Mr. Speaker, our role at the ministry is to do our part in helping our children and our youth achieve the Jamaican dream. As a young boy from the country, Mr. Speaker, who was not born into wealth, oftentimes all I had were my dreams and my self-belief, Mr. Speaker. So we must develop a system that enables our children to have a conducive environment at the earliest stage of their life, whether they are born in Barbary Hall, St. Elizabeth, or in Beverly Hills in Eastern St. Andrew. We must ensure that our early childhood institutions can guarantee quality. We must have primary and secondary education that leaves no one behind. Our tertiary education sector, Mr. Speaker, must be organized so that the most vulnerable have access and solidly aligned to our growth agenda. Mr. Speaker, we must create an environment where our youth believe in themselves, where they're empowered, innovative, and not afraid to embark on their own business ventures. This ministry is confident, Mr. Speaker, that with the steps that we are taking, we will help our young people and our children unleash tomorrow, today. God bless you.
Thank you. Members, order please. Members, I wish at this time to recognize one former mayor and one mayor who is with us today. Will the members here recognize them and welcome them to Parliament? Other supporters and friends of the minister, you're welcome. Mr. Samuda.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I am sure we will all agree that we have just been treated to 1 hour of the best that we can produce from our youngest and brightest star, among our youngest and brightest. Congratulations. Mr. Speaker, it is not intended. Mr. Speaker, it is not intended to do any further business for the day. I therefore invite you to adjourn the sitting of this House until tomorrow, the 9th of May at 2 p.m. sharp. Thank you very much.
Mr. Speaker.
The motion is?
Mr. Speaker, on the motion of adjournment, I'd want to bring Mr. Speaker, I'd want to bring to the attention of this House,
Mr. Speaker,
the situation.
You had mentioned to me, and I directed you to have discussion with the leader of the House. And he agrees? Mr. Buchanan, I know what you want to do, and I'm going to give you a chance to do it tomorrow.
Mr. Speaker, if I may, the member wishes to bring to the attention of the House by way of a question as to what is being done as a result of the heavy rains that we suffered. We are not in a position to make the kind of contribution to this House and to inform the House in a manner that is suitable for the occasion. Therefore, I ask the member to postpone his request, and we will be bringing a proper report based on empirical data before simply just getting up and expressing views based on anecdotes. So we are not prepared to take that today.
Mr. Speaker, please, with respect, the House leader has indicated, but the member might just want to raise the issue of the excessive flooding that has taken place over the weekend. It's not to mention anything about money. My ear was badly damaged.
Mr. Daly,
Alien Town and Bahole was badly damaged. It's not a matter of saying,
Mr. Daly,
we don't want money. We're talking about to bring it to the attention of the House. Come.
Mr. Daly, you have a way of not listening to me when I'm calling you. And I'm saying, Mr. Buchanan, tomorrow I'll give you the floor to discuss the matter. Okay? We did not
Mr.
organize
Speaker.
it properly.
Mr. Speaker, whilst
Mr. Speaker,
I'm a fee before that member.
Mr. Speaker.
And I know you'd recognize me.
Whenever a resolution is to be discussed, have a seat, please. Whenever a resolution is to be discussed and a motion of adjournment must be brought to the attention of the Speaker and a decision must be made. Mr. Buchanan, you came to me. The resolution on the floor is...
Mr. Speaker, if I may. Mr. Speaker, when he mentioned his intention to me, I conferred with the Minister with responsibility for roads and infrastructure, and also to the Minister of Agriculture, the two areas that are most affected. Both indicated that they would not wish to make a statement on the matter until they are fully briefed with empirical evidence of the damage.
On a point of
so
order.
we are saying to you, Mr. Speaker,
Mr. Minister,
it cannot be taken today.
The opposition spokesperson
Mr. Speaker,
state a point of order, please.
Each member of parliament sent here by a constituency has the right to speak in this house. The standing orders allows for each member on the motion of adjournment to be able, the speaker referred the member to the House Leader.
I'm not going to go through what you went through last week.
Having been sent to the House Leader.
I'm not going to do that again.
I think the member is within his right to be able to make that statement. It's his right. It's his right. It's his right. The point of order is that it is the member's right. And if you have a response, once the member would have made the statement of the motion of adjournment, if the House Leader has if he has a rebuttal, let him rebut at that time. He can then state that based on what he has heard, he responds. However, you should not seek to muzzle a member who speaks on behalf of his constituency on a matter that is a national issue. Why would you seek not to hear what he has to say as it relates?
You're standing on a point of order, but you're not picking up on the order.
You're denying the member. You're denying the member. Yes, you are. Yes, you are. You are breaching it because he did approach. He approached. The standing order speaks. The standing order speaks to the member approaching the speaker to have a motion on the adjournment. He did just that. He was not denied by the speaker an opportunity to speak. The speaker then referred him to the House Leader, who did not, in any case, tell him no, he could not speak. What is the big deal? Why would you not allow him to speak on behalf of his constituency and the suffering people of his constituency? It is, you are breaching the right of the member to speak at the time of the adjournment.
Mr. Buchanan, the standing order requires you to advise me that you are going to want to speak on the motion. we did not satisfy that. I am saying to you that tomorrow you will speak on it, because when other persons have indicated they want to do so. At this time, the motion is that the House be adjourned until 2 o'clock tomorrow. Those in favor? Those against? As a Honourable House stand adjourned until 2 p.m. tomorrow.